Welcome to Two Bad Nerds. This is episode 7, and today we're going to talk about the Xbox One reveal. The Xbox One was revealed on May 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and it lasted an hour. So we're just going to go right into it and start with one question here for you, Danny, which is, did you enjoy the presentation overall?
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. It really highlighted the system itself, the capabilities of the system. They really had me drawn in with the fast switching, the multitasking, all the stuff that you could do with the system. So no, I thought it was as good as a presentation could be. Again, as I said, they get kind of boring and they're kind of drawn out, but no, I thought it was a good, good informative discussion.
Um, I wasn't as impressed as I could have been. It was an okay presentation. I do agree with you. They did show off some capabilities of the system itself. The fast switching. I believe they mentioned it has like 3 separate processors. I believe so. That's impressive. I will give it that. You know what I mean? 3 separate processors. I shouldn't see lag at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Operating software,
Yeah,
operating systems.
Yeah.
Well, if they're all doing different things,
Right.
then I mean, the user should feel confident that they won't have any kind of lag.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And their live presentation, I mean, seemed to be live, as much as possible.
Yeah,
You never know. You never know. But
Right.
anyway, it seemed to be live, and it seemed to be pretty cool. The stuff you can do. Will I use everything? Probably not. But overall, I was okay. I wasn't blown away.
Mm.
I was, it's okay.
Yeah, if it can fast switch like that, when we have the console, that's awesome. That's amazing. But like you said, we're all kind of jaded because you see these presentations and then you actually get the system and it's not quite exactly what they said.
Exactly. Who knows what they have going on here? If they have the crazy internet speed that people don't really have in a normal
Right.
resident, or stuff like that. It's like, what do they have that's different there that can make it work so much better in those pristine conditions? Is what I'm saying. We don't
Right.
always have the best conditions at our house. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you have to take it with a grain of salt. Is basically what I'm saying. So it looks good. It looks
Right.
like the system can provide enough, power and stuff like that. But like I said, overall, the presentation left me wanting more.
Okay. Okay, I can understand that. All right, so this is something that was really, being heavily debated going into this. What were they going to call the Xbox? Is it what was it, the 720, the Xbox Next, the Fusion? I mean, they had a million names for it, and they ended up going with Xbox One. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not a horrible name, but it's not. I think it's going to be confusing for people, to be quite honest, especially because it seems like their marketing is kind of all over the place as far as who they're trying to reach. If they're trying to reach such a wide audience, the Xbox One doesn't make it distinct enough to say which Xbox this is, which is the 3rd Xbox in the line of Xboxes. Of the original being called Xbox, the second being the Xbox 720, but then you have the Xbox One. Us being gamers, we get it. We know what it's going to be called. We'll get it. Whatever. Whether we shorten the name and we call it the Xbox from now on, or just Xbox, whatever, it's fine. But I have a fear that this is going to confuse the person that doesn't really get into games. That they're going to be like, well, the Xbox One, well, what happened to the Xbox 2? I thought we already had, you know what I mean?
Right.
It just seems to me that it can cause unneeded confusion. They didn't have to go this route to say that one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I get their message that you're saying all-in-one, that it's your
Right.
all-in-one console, but they kind of could have picked a better name. It's not horrible, but they could have picked a better name. What do you think about that?
Well, it's funny because I don't have a problem with the name, but I see your point in as far as marketing. We saw this with Apple. Apple did this with the iPad, where they went from 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, well now it's the new iPad. They didn't call it iPad 1. They just went, it's the new iPad. Well, so for people who might be looking at iPads online, they see one, they see iPad, then 2, 3, 4, And so obviously they think that, well, iPad, that's got to be the lowest one, right?
Right.
The 4 would be the best one. So we've already seen that. At least Xbox didn't decide to go with Xbox. I think that would have been even worse. You know,
Yeah.
at least with one, you're kind of like, okay, well, that was the Xbox. This is the Xbox One. You know, whether people understand where it is in the hierarchy, they at least maybe can figure out that those are two different models. Based on the distinction there.
Hmm.
But it's a little different. Like you said, I get the whole all-in-one. I don't personally care about the name, but it does seem from a marketing standpoint, if, as their presentation showed, they're marketing this to not just hardcore gamers, but they're marketing it to everybody, why would you give it such a confusing name, but they weren't going to go with the Xbox 3, we all know, because then it would seem inferior to the PS4. So,
Hmm.
who knows? I'm sure, 6 months from now, nobody's going to care. But, at the time now, it seems, it was very surprising, and I didn't see anybody that had predicted that it was becoming called Xbox One. So they did a really good job of,
Yes, they did.
keeping that name hidden.
Yep, they did a great job of that. We thought there was going to be some kind of leak about that, and it wasn't. They blew us away with the name, first of all. So that's cool.
Yeah. All right. So the next question then was, what did you think of the way the system itself looked?
Um, it's funny because when I see it, I don't really feel some type of way about it. I thought it was like, okay, it's a box. However, after seeing the backlash in regards to the way it looks, a lot of people call it a VCR, and it kind of
Yeah.
makes me laugh, because
Yeah.
I'm like, it really does look like a VCR. I mean, the thing,
Yeah.
my only problem with it is that it doesn't seem fancy enough
Okay.
for all the tech that's in there. It does look just like a box. You know what I mean? It doesn't even look like an Xbox. It looks like a box with
Right.
a little tiny X that you sometimes can hardly even think that that's an X. I'm sorry, because it doesn't look like an X that much to me. But you know what I mean? It just doesn't look. It doesn't look high quality to me, I guess, is what it
Okay.
is. It just, it's black. It has a lot of ventilation to it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it
It definitely
comes
has a
with
lot of ventilation. Yeah.
yeah, and it comes with the connecting. I get the ventilation. If there's so much tech going into it, I get it. You need
Right.
vents, but you know what I mean. They could have put some kind of curvature into it or something,
Okay.
or just something that made it stand out, at least on the face.
Right.
Make it stand out, make it look really sharp
Hmm.
your console, your whatever the hell you display
Right. Where you
your
put it. Yeah.
systems out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just make it stand out. I think this is gonna blend. It's gonna look kind of bland on your shelf. People are like, oh,
Yeah.
what's that? You know what I mean? That's it. So I don't want to say it's a fail, but it could have been better.
Yeah. No, I definitely actually agree with you on that point. It seems weird because if you think back to when the original Xbox 360 came out 8 years ago, the look of it was a huge thing. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but Microsoft was huge on pushing faceplates and being
Yes.
able to change the way your Xbox looks so everyone had a different looking Xbox.
Hmm.
That was a huge thing. Now we all know that only lasted about maybe a year or two into the system, and no one really cared about that after a while, and especially when they came out with the Elite system. I'm sorry, not the Elite, but the slimmer version where you
Hmm.
couldn't change the faceplate. Then of course everybody stopped caring about that. One thing I would have liked to have seen would have been to see the Xbox Slim next to the Xbox One and kind of get a comparison because, as you said, it does look like just a box, like a VCR. It looks like a big box. But how big is it? I mean, because we just saw it on TV. We have no idea of like ratio as to how big it actually is. Someone I saw said it was similar in size to the Slim, but just a little bigger, and it mainly looked bigger because the Slim has rounded edges, whereas this obviously has straight, flat edges,
Hmm.
so that can also lead to looking thicker. So if it is still about the same size as the Slim, which we all know the Slim is a pretty small system, that's great. That's awesome. But I just wish they would have shown that at the presentation to say this is, again, it's probably a small thing, and since they only did an hour, it's not a major selling point. Obviously, no one's buying the system based on whether it's a couple inches bigger or smaller. But it just would have been nice to have seen some kind of comparison.
Yeah, and to me, who doesn't really see a slim all too often, I don't have Xbox in my house. I don't really remember the size of the original, the size of the 720, or the slim version. I don't know, so I don't have that comparison. I can only compare it to like my PS3. Is it bigger? Is it smaller than my PS3?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, but you're right. They should have. It would have been nice if at least maybe I haven't checked their website though. Maybe they want the consumer to kind of check there on their own accord.
Yeah.
I haven't done so, but maybe it's on there as far as a nice comparison. They can give us the height, and the measurements, but who's going to take the time to really measure it out? I'm not going to. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it would be nice just to see it visually. You know what I mean? So I do agree with that. So moving right along here, the Kinect is now integrated into this system, like totally integrated. It's
Yeah.
something that when you buy an Xbox One, it comes with it. Are you happy about this? Do you think that you will actually use the Kinect now?
Okay, well, it's the first point about it. Am I happy about it? It depends on what they mean by it has to be used. Like, does it have to be plugged into the system, or do I have to interact with it in some way in every game? I guess it just depends on how much I actually have to use it. If it's just going to sit there and just be connected, well, whatever, then it's not a big deal, and I'm sure I'll forget that it's even there. But if it's something that I have to acknowledge maybe every time I boot up the system or I have to do something with it, I really hope that's not what they're planning on doing because I don't want to have to worry about that. I saw someone say something about, oh, I'll just point it away or I'll just put it on a shelf somewhere. As long as it's connected, it should be fine. Put it out of the way. Well, if that's the way it is, that all it has to do is be connected and you can just put it wherever, that's great. But if I have to specifically have it set up for every game or have to be in a specific location for every game, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I mean, I like that it comes with it, so if developers integrate it into the games in the proper way and make it interesting, that I want to use that feature. And even like they showed with the videos where you could just say Xbox Play or Xbox do this or Xbox switch to that. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. If I don't want to feel like, I guess if I'm that lazy, I don't feel like getting up and grabbing the controller, I can just say that. Yeah, that's cool. Or if I'm watching a movie and I say Xbox pause, yeah, that's probably a lot easier. But again, it just depends on how much I'm forced to use it, and how much do I want to use it.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm interested in learning about. So I don't know. What did you think?
Um, I mean, I knew this was going to happen personally. I mean, they were pushing the Kinect so much on the Xbox 720, so I just knew that going
360.
forward. Sorry,
You keep saying so.
360. Wow, I did say it a couple times already.
Yeah.
Okay, 360. Yeah, they pushed it on the 360 pretty hard. I mean, their marketing campaign for that freaking device was insane. Actually, too much. I was vomiting Kinect when it first came out. I'm not joking about that. But so what I will say is that the tech in the disconnect does seem impressive. It's 1080. They're saying that you can record in 1080p. They're saying that it has great, you can use your voice for so much that if you're doing sports games or something like that, it'll be able to see your heartbeat, or trace your heartbeat. That it knows like the difference in the limbs now. You know what I mean? Like all your different limbs. It's more responsive that way.
Hmm.
All that stuff is good. However, just like you said, how much are they going to force you to use this? You know what I mean? Not everybody wants to use this. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, saying Xbox on or pause or something like that, how lazy have we become as a society that we need to really talk to our devices? I'm
Right.
sorry. When a click away, you can pause something or whatever. You know what I mean? Now you're
Right.
saying that we want to use voice. Okay, for kids, once again, that market for kids, yeah, that's fun for kids to do. They're like, yay, they're not getting their little sticky fingers all over everything, touching your controls.
Right.
They can actually talk to it. That's cool. But how much are they going to really push this? How much is this going to be really pushed into quote unquote serious gaming? That's what
Right.
kind of concerns me. What also concerns me, now this is just stuff that's floating around the internet, but if this is always on,
Hmm.
or required to be always on. They mentioned in the presentation that it's going to be in like you can, I think, decide to have it in a low powered state so that the Xbox will recognize, even though it's not technically on, it's in a low powered state. You can say Xbox on and you can resume your game like right away without any kind of startup, boot up, all that stuff.
Right.
The big concern that I've been seeing on the internet, and my concern as well, if something is always on like that, and that's a camera always facing towards you, always doing that, I mean, you're just opening your world up to a bunch of hackers and a bunch of crap like Big Brother. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be so negative, but that's still a concern. I mean, I was concerned when I had my PlayStation Move hooked up to my PlayStation, which needs the PlayStation Eye, and it's connected through a freaking USB. When that was connected through the USB, there was a light that always shined on there, letting you know that it was connected to the PS3. Not that it was powered on, because it
Right.
wouldn't power on until you actually use something that requires it, but it still had a light. That
Right.
even made me nervous, dude. Like, seriously, it made me nervous. I'm like, okay, am I being captured? Is someone
Right.
hacking into something that they can see what's going on? I just hope that Microsoft is on top of its game, on top of its security, because I think this could be opening up a world of hurt to that company if someone hacks that crap and they can monitor people. It's
Right.
a bad situation. I know
Oh
I
yeah.
personally, if I would ever get an Xbox One, I would probably turn my system off. I probably wouldn't use that feature to have it, to talk to it, have it
Right.
being a low powered state. I would force it to be off because I'm just not comfortable with that. That's on the negative side, but again, on the positive side, I do like the tech. I do think, that it'll be cool for chatting, chatting on the fly, with Skype.
Yep.
I don't use Skype, but it might force me to use it, you know what I mean? To be able to
Right.
have something that's 1080p, that's a good thing, quality streaming. So,
That's a good point you brought up. Like if you're in the middle of a game and someone wants to have a video chat with you, to be able to have the ability to continue to play your game and video chat with someone as you're playing the game, I mean that could be really cool.
yeah,
That could be a lot of fun. And as we said about as far as the functionality of the Kinect, if it has the ability, for me, the way I see myself using that, if it's something that way I would use, would be like when I come in the door from coming home, and I'm like Xbox play playlist, and it starts playing my music. That's freaking cool. I like that because I don't have to do anything. I can just say it. It starts playing my music, and I can just do whatever I need to do. And then maybe later on, I want to play games, so then I go back to it and play games. So if it has that kind of availability, that's really cool. Or if I say Xbox, turn on this channel or whatever, turn on this video or whatever when I get right in the door, that's cool. But as far as if I'm already playing a game, I don't see myself being like Xbox turn to TV or Xbox turn to whatever when I can just hit a button and do that.
yeah, and
Um,
they're giving you so many options now. They're giving you the smart glass, that you can
right.
use it from your phone, you can use it from your controller. Now you can talk to it. I mean, again, how lazy are we as a society? But I do agree with what you're saying. When you're coming home, or let's say you want to go on a cleaning, most people in my culture, being Hispanic, when you clean with music. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That's the only way you can really get into it. So if it's always on, let's say I have it always on and I have my playlist already installed on there or whatever, and I say play music. One less thing that I have to do to actually start that process. You're right. That is a good thing. So
Yeah.
I will give you that's a positive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And if you're playing that playlist, and if you can just yell out stop, Xbox stop, to answer a phone call or to do whatever or to answer the door, that can be really handy too instead of having to run, maybe the controllers across the room.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can definitely see instances where this would be handy. I just again, I hope it's not something that I'm forced to interact with every single time.
Especially for games, this is good. This is definitely geared, obviously, towards that one entertainment system kind of concept, which is a positive.
Right.
But as far as the game aspect, I want to see how they're going to integrate it into the games. Like you said, how forced is it going to be into games? Because
Yeah.
I personally don't want to go like this, wax on, wax off, just to freaking play something in a game or to
Right.
scroll through Netflix. I'm not going to do it. It's just not
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
All right, is it my question now, or
I think. Go ahead. I
okay?
don't remember.
All right. All right. We kind of talked about this already a little bit, but we'll get a little more into it. One of the big things, obviously, on the presentation was the multitasking home entertainment system that the Xbox One is supposed to be. It's supposed to do everything: music, movies, Skype, games. Fantasy football. They even brought in, that
Hmm.
surprised me because I didn't think they were going to talk about that. I mean, what do you really think about that as far as how you would use that?
Well, I'm trying to compare it like how I use the PS3 because when the PS3 launched, that's how they launched the system. They said it was an entertainment system as well because it could do movies, it could do music, it could do, all that happy jazz. I mean, it took them a while to implement it, but it still can do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I try to think, well, how much do I use that now? My PlayStation, I use it for Netflix, of course, like most people use their systems for Netflix. For Amazon Video, I use it to store some pictures, not that high into pictures there. I do use it for music. And, I put music onto my PlayStation 3. Um, but do I download movies? Do I really use it for videos? Do I use it for internet? I will say that I do use the PlayStation for internet every once in a while. It's not the greatest browser, but it got better, So this is saying that I can do all that and it'll be easier and faster. So in a sense, that's cool. But do I really think will I have a lot of use out of it for that purpose? No, because the Xbox would be primarily a gaming console for me. So all this other stuff is great that it can do, but I can't see myself diving into it. I mean, me, fantasy football, that's great for people who like
Yeah.
football. Doesn't do
Right.
anything for me. I don't
Right.
care. You know what I mean? I'm not going to use. I don't really like Internet Explorer, so I can't see myself using their browser too much. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Right.
I can't see myself doing motion to do anything. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna pan the screen by going like this. I'm sorry. I think that kind of motion is personally stupid, and I'm never gonna use it.
It's a little
Talking,
unnatural, right?
yeah, it's unnatural, and it just bothers me. Like talking to it, that's one thing,
Hmm.
but using those kind of hand gestures, no, I'm never gonna do it. Um, but like I said in the other ones, Skype seems like it could be cool. Like you talking about if your controller's in another room, someone's calling you, you can easily talk to your system, and it can just pause or stop or whatever like that. Music. So there's some positives to it, but I can't see it being more than a gimmick after a certain amount of time, to be quite honest. So, yeah, I say more for games. Everything else, it seems okay. I mean, do I need a smarter TV? They mentioned that this is going to make your TV smart, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like your television cable. I don't need my television cable to be that smart. You know what I mean? I don't know how much smarter I need it to be. You know what I mean? Unless,
Right.
you know what I mean? Unless it's as easy as me saying, record, I don't know, Pokemon at 8 o'clock. If I can say that on channel thing, record Pokemon. If that's as simple as my smart TV is going to be because it's integrated into my cable, that I like.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really have too much of a use for it. I can change the channel like a normal person. I can do all this stuff as we've been conditioned to do. I don't really
Right.
need to talk all the time. So
Well, my main thing I thought was uh, what we're doing right now. We're doing a Google Hangout. Just talking. If we were able to do that, but also, integrate whatever game I'm playing and integrate whatever game you're playing at the time. Bring it up and talk about it with each other. Maybe it's I don't know if that's something you could record, but even if you couldn't record it, just to show each other a game or see this or see that or I pull up a web page and show you it kind of thing. I don't have to get if I'm in the middle of playing a game and you text me and say, hey, show me this or hey, I want to talk about this. I don't have to get up. I mean, I know, again, we get back to this, how lazy are we? But I don't have to get up and go to my computer and pull up this site or pull up that information. Or, if I'm playing a game and I'm stuck on a game and I want to pull up a IGN, walkthrough, I don't have to get up from my where I'm at and go to my computer, read the walkthrough, and then be like, okay, I got to do this, okay, and then walk back to my TV and do it. I can do it all while I'm reading it right in front of me. I think that's really cool. If it works like they're saying, I think that's really cool, and that's something that I could definitely see myself using, with the games that I'm playing. Even with something as simple as a fighting game, to learn a fighting combo, to be able to put it up on another small screen on the side while I'm playing the game, that's a lot easier than pausing the game, looking for that's how you do the move. Okay, unpause the game, do the move. You know what I mean? So again, if it's integrated the way that they're saying it's going to be integrated, I think that's really cool. Um, he talked about when you're watching live TV, the ability to switch from live TV to a game. That's freaking great, I think. Because, yeah, maybe commercials are only 3 or 4 minutes, but you know what? I'd much rather be playing a game in those 3 or 4 minutes than looking at a stupid commercial that I've seen a billion times. So
Yeah,
the
that's
ability
true.
to switch back and forth between the TV and my game, that's great. I watch a lot of hockey. You know, when hockey's on, the intermissions between hockey are 15, 20 minutes. I can get a lot of gaming done in that time, a lot
That's
of
true. I didn't think
lot of
about it that
sports.
way.
Yeah, a lot of sports, halftime at football is half an hour, So this way, I'm already, my game is there. It's already waiting for me to unpause it or however it works, that you switch back to it. Again, as I said, if it works as smoothly as they're saying it's going to work and how it works, that's I think that can be really awesome and something that, we right now don't have the capabilities to do that kind of thing. You right now you need a computer and a TV, but if you could just need the Xbox and the TV and maybe not even really need a computer for much anymore. I mean, with smartphones the way they are these days,
Hmm.
most people are finding out they don't need computers that much anymore as it is.
Hmm.
This could be even less of a reason to need a computer.
Yeah,
So,
you make a good point. Like when you said that, actually, I was thinking of the Super Bowl.
hmm
When you have the intermission, like you can technically have a Super Bowl party with you playing with your friends, the teams that are playing on the Super Bowl, right? And when the Super Bowl is happening, you do that. When it's commercials, you switch to your game, you pick up and play, and then you keep on going back. I can see that being pretty fun. So yeah, I see what you're saying there. It does seem like a pretty cool feature. The next question I want to go over is the controller. They showed us some differences in the controller. Some of the stuff they said, like vibration can now be sent to the triggers, so you can have this greater sense of immersion. And then there's a new D-pad. So what do you think about the controller?
well, I mean, again, I'm happy that they kept it pretty much the same as the way it was. I've never had an issue with the 360 controller.
Mhm.
I've always thought it was great. I like the fact that I'm sorry, not the triggers. The sticks are a little offset. I'm just so used to that now that's how I like it. So I'm glad they didn't change that. They made the D-pad better. They said this is like the third or fourth time
Mhm.
they've done it. So we'll see if the D-pad is actually better. But it can't be any worse.
Yeah.
Um, the As far as the triggers, the feedback from what I've read and what people have said about it, they said it's really good at immersing you in the gameplay itself. Because like if you're playing a car game, you actually feel the engine of the car revving as you push back on the accelerator. When you fire a gun, it's almost like you feel the bullet coming out of the gun when you're shooting. So yeah, if it works as good as the reviewers are saying it works, I'm definitely excited for it.
That's cool. Um, I don't have a great relationship with the Xbox controller. I mean, I'm used to a PlayStation controller, so having that offset like you talk about, that's to me is totally uncomfortable. So I want my analog sticks there, but it all takes time. Like if I would play it more, I'm sure I could get used to it, get adapted to it. So I don't see any total issues with it. I'm glad that it has an integrated battery, or the battery. I mean, the battery is like rechargeable or something like that. It can be
Right.
removed. It's removable but rechargeable. I believe that was one of the key points, and
Yeah.
that's good because from what I understand, that's not always the case with Xbox.
Yeah.
So that's a nice feature. That rumble. That what you're talking about. That does seem like it could be pretty cool as long as it's something, of course, that's optional that can be turned off. Because sometimes you really don't want that. You know what I mean? You're just playing
Right.
play a game. You don't need that extra immersion. So
Right.
that's cool. I did see a video talking about the first buttons. Like I guess I don't know what they're called on Xbox, but at least in PlayStation world, they're R1 and L1. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I heard that those two buttons, that the way that they're thing, they don't feel natural to press them. That's one of the only gripe I've heard at all in regards to the controller is that those two just they feel off somehow. They don't feel
Mhm.
as good as at least the current generation is. So that's something for you,
Yeah.
especially to take a look at when it comes out to like stores. That you can get your hands on and feel with it. Take a look at that. I'm interested to know what you think about that. But other than that, it seems like an okay controller. If I would get it, I would just have to get used to that offset that Xbox people are used to.
Mhm.
So that's all I have to say about that.
All right.
So next one here. I'll just go ahead and say it here. Halo is coming to TV. Like,
Not
it's getting
movies
its,
like we hoped.
yeah, not movies. I mean, there is an Xbox movie, I believe. You told me that before on Netflix, at least it was there. But what is your opinion about Xbox being its own series?
Oh, you mean Halo being its own series?
Oh my gosh, Halo being its own series.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
No, I actually am. I'm actually pretty excited for this. With Halo 4, the way it was set up, they would release, I think it was like every week or every 2 weeks, new episodes, which basically was you had five little not mini games, but mini campaigns that you would play online with people. They were called Spartan Ops, and you would
Okay.
play like a specific section, real small, took 15 minutes, and like I said, there was five of them, and they'd come out like every week. And they were kind of fun because there were ways for you to play a four-player campaign game, but not have to play a whole campaign. It was a
Hmm.
15, 20-minute thing. And what was cool about it is that, again, for every episode that had come out, they would show like a 5-minute clip, a CGI'd clip of what was going on, the story progressing. So you
Hmm.
would start from the beginning. It was a certain aspect of the story that was totally separate from what was going on in the campaign of the game that you're playing. Because in the game you're playing as Master Chief.
Hmm.
But this had you playing as different people that were off on different missions.
Okay.
So that was really cool, and a lot of people really liked the story. It was pretty engaging as to what was going on, and it was fun every week to see where it was going. So if now, getting back to the Xbox One, if this is what they plan on doing with the Halo show, like I'm pretty interested in that. From what I've heard, it's going to be live action though. It's not CGI like those
Hmm.
episodes were. So I kind of liked the CGI. I thought that was really cool. There's a lot of things you can do with CGI that are going to be kind of expensive for them to do if they're doing live action, with actual people, because now you have to pay people to do things, and
Hmm.
there's a lot more in it, involved in it, and as far as the acting, what's the level of acting going to be in this? Is it going to be cheesy? Is it going to be, like a B movie? So I'm interested in it. It's not obviously a selling point, I don't think, for anybody, but I do think it's something that's cool. We'll see how much money and how much gets actually put into this, because I do see this being one of those things that if it doesn't work from the beginning, it's going to quickly get shoved aside. So it'll be interesting to see if this really catches on. And also from a business standpoint, how is Microsoft profiting from this? Are they going to give you so many episodes for free and then you pay maybe for some of them, which, I don't think that's unreasonable if that's what they're going to do, or how are they gonna make money off of this? Because they're not just going to keep throwing money at something that's not making them any money. You know,
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see, where it goes from there. But yeah, like I said, I'm into it because I love Halo. But people who aren't into Halo, they probably don't care.
Yeah, I personally don't care, like,
Right.
to a point. I mean, I am more curious as is this just going to be on Xbox One? Because you're limiting your audience. I'm
Mm,
sorry.
yeah.
If you make this just on Xbox One, you're assuming that everybody picked up an Xbox One and that those people are going to tune in to these episodes. I think Microsoft is a little smarter than that, so I
Right.
believe that they're probably going to have some way that other people that don't have Xbox can be able to enjoy Halo. Because, if they're saying even if they give people only a certain amount of episodes, kind of like what you said, but for people outside of the Xbox One world, you know what I mean? Give them a certain amount of episodes, get them kind of intrigued in the story, and then say that if you want to continue the story, you have to have an Xbox One. You know what I
Right.
mean? That kind of makes more sense to me. How are they going to market that? So that'll be interesting. Yeah, and how much money are they going to put into this thing? I mean, who's directing it? What is this? Field? Who was the guy that's
Yeah, I
saying
think it was Spielberg. They said,
Spielberg,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm sure he's not doing it for free. So
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. This is this is one of those reasons that I mostly usually I have an issue with Microsoft because they like throw their money everywhere. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's very apparent that they have a lot of money and that they can go crazy with it.
right.
And this is one of those instances that having this be live action and not CG. means that they can't reuse any of the stuff that they really used from, these other games that they could have done with CG, you know what I mean?
Right.
Incorporated some of that stuff into making it a series. But no, you're having actors, and you're right. Are the actors going to suck? Is it going to be good? What's the storyline going to be? Is it going to be, at the end of the day, another stupid love story that we see on every freaking movie or every freaking
Right.
TV show? You know what I mean? You're like, who cares? I'm sorry, but who cares? What's
Right.
going to be the selling point? So I'm interested in seeing how it's going to progress. And you're right. How is it going to make them money? How is this going to be a benefit toward them?
Right.
I'm really curious. Right now, I don't know. I'm on the fence with it. Again, mostly because I don't care about Halo. But if it's a good enough story, I've seen a lot of movies that are based in that same concept, like space and, you know what I mean, and whatever. So maybe I can get into the series but not really care about playing the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see.
Right. And yeah, and I'll be interested to see, someone has suggested if the way they did with Halo 4 was they set up they did little mini-sodes before Halo 4 came out and kind of set up Halo 4.
Hmm.
So are they going to use this to set up the next Halo game? Because we all know that there's not a Halo game launching with the Xbox One. So
Hmm.
are these videos going to set up the next one? That's cool. I have no problem with that, and that's great. That can build up hype towards it. And like you said, if you don't have an Xbox One, are they gonna post it on their website, or maybe they release it to Xbox One users first, but then a week later, it's on the internet, the first episode, or something like that. I could
Yeah.
see them doing something like that where they give you a reason for owning the console because you get it first, but then they're gonna want to obviously spread it out to that bigger audience.
Yeah, that's Microsoft's MO anyway.
Right.
You get Microsoft, you get your DLC first or whatever.
Right.
It's always
Exactly.
been their big thing.
That's been the big selling point. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving right along here, we have Microsoft claims to have 15 exclusives. 8, I believe they said 8,
I
are
think that's
brand
right.
new franchises. So what do you want to see from this?
Well, I mean, as we know, they didn't show any games at the what
Presentation.
do you call it? The presentation. I can't even think. They didn't show any games, which they had said before that they weren't going to show any games. So I guess we shouldn't have been surprised. So they focused only on the console. So what do I want to see? I mean, offhand, I can't think of a specific game genre I'd like to see. Um, just maybe better games. I don't know. That's the question I've been wondering with the PS4 and with the Xbox One. Like, what is the game that's going to sell me that I have to buy this system, that I have to play? What's going to be this great, jaw-dropping game that everyone has to play? Like, I don't know. I'm not. Obviously, I haven't seen it yet because they haven't revealed any games. But I can't even think of a game that's like that would be what I want to see. So hopefully, they bring out something that makes me want to have to buy an Xbox One at launch.
Gotcha. Um, as far as what I'd like to see, I want to know that most of these exclusives are not Connect related. That's what I want to know. Because, yeah, okay, you have this brand new Connect. You can't tell me that out of 15 exclusives, that majority of these are not going to be Connect, because I have a really strong feeling that they are going to be very Connect focused,
Hmm.
and that to me is not a selling point. You know what I mean? That I don't want to see an exclusive for a Connect. I don't care really that heavily about the Connect at this time. It's cool, it has promise, but doesn't mean that I want to play a game like that hands free without a controller. So I want to
Right.
know, I really want to know what's going on with these exclusives and make sure that they're not Connect centric. And they did show a little bit of one. It's called Quantum Leap. It's I know it's Quantum in the first name. It's either Quantum Leap or Quantum Break. One of them is a movie, and I can't remember which one it is, but it's Quantum something. They showed that clip with the ship, and the ship was going. She was, well, it was a live action something. A woman was talking to her daughter or something like that, and said, "What makes you special?" or blah blah blah. She's like, "You want to know what makes me special?" And she touches her head. You
Mm.
see the ship, and the ship basically warps from here to like right into the bridge, and the bridge breaks. You
Mhm.
know okay, interesting. I'm not sure what that else, they could have
Right.
showed more than just that, but whatever. It's
Right.
something. At least they're trying. I mean, Microsoft is not known to having that many exclusives. Let's be realistic. They don't have that many. What,
Yeah.
Gears, the Gears series or Gears of War and Halo. I mean, those are the big franchises. Sony has more franchises. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but Sony has more than Microsoft as far as exclusive franchises. And then, of course, the biggest competitor with exclusives is really Nintendo. They're the one who takes the cake. They have the biggest amount of exclusive, series of whatever, things that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
So I'm glad that Microsoft is realizing that they need more of that. They need more reasons for people to say, well, I can just wait because this is multi-platform. I can just get this on another platform. You know what I mean? Yep. They need to be like, you can only get this here. You can only get this here. So I'm interested to see what they're going to bring to the table, what genres are going to be. We know that we don't need any more first-person shooters as far as being exclusives. Yeah. Well, I mean, they have their. Why would they want to really compete so much more with Halo? You know what I mean? That's the way I see it, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, what other genres are you going to bring exclusives that people are going to care about? I can say RPG. That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Good RPGs. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I think I would definitely. I didn't bring this up, but I would definitely like to see an MMO. A good MMO. We've gotten MMOs on Xbox before, and they just really haven't panned out as well as was planned. So something like the DC MMO or the Star Wars MMO, or even World of Warcraft or something to that effect. If they can do it the right way and have it set up, most of those I know are normally subscription based. But since you're already paying for Xbox Live, are people going to want to pay also for another thing?
Yeah, hey, Microsoft could do a deal that, because you're getting it through them, it's an MMO or whatever, that it goes with your subscription, or that you get a percentage off or something, you know what I mean? Something like that, that they could do that, because the way you're saying that, I mean, Wii U has Dragon Quest X that's coming out. That's an MMO exclusive to them. PlayStation's having Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, coming out to PlayStation this year. And that's a huge MMO, and that's it did bad in the beginning, but they redid it, so that could be really good for PlayStation. You're right. I think now it's time for Xbox to have their own exclusive MMO that they can only get. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Well, like I said, we'll see. If they do that.
Yeah, and that brings us into our last question that we have today, which is, what do you want to see from Microsoft at E3?
I mean, one word: games. We got to see the games. Sell me the system. I mean, as a current Xbox 360, user, I obviously like the system and I like what it can do. But the fast switching, the multitasking, yeah, that's really awesome. But I don't think it's awesome enough for me to spend $500-600 on whatever the system's going to cost, if that's really going to be the only difference between the 360 and the Xbox One. So. If you're selling me games and saying, this is this game or whatever game they show, and you blow me away with the games, then I'm on board, because then that's enough for me to say I want to sign up. But right now, as I said, we haven't seen any games, so it's kind of hard to say, am I going to put that kind of money down, when so far the only differences we're seeing is the multitasking, and the better connect.
I agree. I say 100% it's games, because I'm a harder sell. I'm not an Xbox person normally. You know what I mean? I'm not. I went from hating Xbox to at least respecting what they brought to the table. So that's a pretty big leap for me. So to make another leap and actually buy a console, it will take a lot. They have to have a really good exclusive. My weak point is usually RPGs, as I told you. So if Square Enix has the next Final Fantasy in the line of Final Fantasy, so Final Fantasy 15. Comes out, but it's exclusive to Xbox, that may make me consider getting that console. You know what I mean? So stuff like that is what I need to see coming to that system, because not only do I have to get used to a brand that I don't know, I got to get used to subscription-based internet, that type of situation, which I'm not used to.
Right.
I also get used to, like we talked about, a new controller that I'm not comfortable with. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that I would have to adjust myself to branch into Xbox in general, Microsoft's, gaming console. And then on top of that, you need to bring it hard. You need to bring stuff that's going to totally win me over. And
Right.
RPGs is really what it's at for me right now. Fighting games are cool. Racing games are cool. None of that will make me switch because most of them will be probably multi-platform. So
Right.
just tell me what exclusive RPG game I can't get anywhere else that's going to knock my socks off. You can do that. I might consider getting an Xbox One.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's and these days, I mean, it's a hard sell because, if you're spending that kind of money on a system for one game, I mean, people don't usually do that. You're gonna want to buy it knowing that not only will you get that one game, but also down the road there's gonna be, even better games or better use of that.
Yep.
So again, I think for just to bring it around to both systems that are coming out this year, the big thing is they both have to sell us. Their last systems, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, were so good that it's like, why do I need to buy the next one for either system? Either one you decide. It's both of them. Both companies have to sell us on why you need to ditch your old system and get the new one because it's so much better. Right now I'm not seeing it for either system.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on either system where I gotta spend that kind of money at launch for either
What
one of them.
it's the problem we have with the technology. There haven't been that much of a leap in technology besides like pure power backing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see anything visually. Going from the SD era to the HD era, there's a distinct difference.
Right.
That you can see what was capable of before, and what's capable of now. But now we're at that weird point in technology that the normal person won't see the difference in games. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to sell that, especially when both consoles are not giving us backwards compatibility, at least out the gate.
Right.
So it's a hard point. It's a hard point.
Yeah, and another thing is too, they're still going to be releasing games for both systems.
Mm-hmm.
So
for a while, probably.
for a while, and there's still going to be some quality games that are going to come out for both systems while those other systems are launching. I mean, the new Grand Theft Auto is not coming out to either system, the new systems. It's coming out to the older systems.
Yeah, and that's pushing the graphics and pushing the tech of the current generation to the fullest. Right now, we're at that point that the developers had time with the current system that they know how to push it to its max. And they're giving us gorgeous games at the end of its life cycle. So again, it has to be something amazing to say, let's get the new system, when right now we're getting the best that we can get out of our current systems.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I know there's other games that are coming out too, but I bring it back to Grand Theft Auto because that's the one that's big on my mind. I can't wait to play that game. I want to play that game, and if it's like any other Grand Theft Auto, it's going to suck up like a month of my life. So I'm not really in a hurry to move to another system when I'm going to be playing this game, so it's really going to take a lot, for me to say, oh yeah, you know what, I don't need this 360 anymore. I want a PS4. I want an Xbox One. So it'll be interesting to see, what
E3
comes out of E3.
Interesting.
After E3, I might be, saving my money for both systems, so who knows?
We'll see.
But right now they don't. Not right now. Not either system doesn't have me right now as a first, as a adopter, on launch day. I'm still, very skeptical of either one of them right now. So hopefully they can sell me.
Gotcha. I'm more towards PlayStation, but even that probably not launch right now until they can really sell me. So we'll see.
All right. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up, or?
No, I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching.
Take care.
Huzzah!